Thanks, everyone.
I just want everybody to know that next year at the film festival, we're going to have heat. So go sit down and we'll have a chat about this terrific movie that is so smartly done, you almost can't believe it's a Canadian movie.
Oh, that's what we were going for, actually.
Yes,
so that's
you've done
nice.
done it very well. And I love your description that it's a hopeful movie about sad people. I know you were, in the press materials, you were reluctant to say too much about a director's statement, but was that how you would set out to write the script, that it was a hopeful movie about sad people?
Absolutely. That's kind of where like most of our stuff comes from, of just wanting to write about good people that are going through tough situations and getting them through it together. And this one kind of we'd kind of done mostly like rom-coms before, and just wanted to try to do one that was like a platonic relationship and about two people kind of going through the same thing that help each other through it. And those are just kind of like the movies that warmed my heart growing up, and Lindsay's if she was here. And yeah, we just wanted to make like a throwback to those early 2000s movies.
Where so-called rom-coms are actually pretty good and actually had something to say. So
yeah,
yeah,
I love rom-coms.
I love them when they're well done.
Same.
One is very well done. So
thank you.
So it was a real joy to sit through it, and she's wonderful. Mikla is.
Oh yeah, she's the best.
Watching it again, I thought to myself, this is something that, and I don't know whether this was something you tried to do, but it's almost something like you could take to a Julia Roberts or somebody and make it an American film out of it. Did that ever cross your mind?
Yeah, but we can't afford Julia Roberts. And so it's one of those like...
Well, come back when you can.
Yeah. Well, the hope is to make, you make it at this budget, and then you hope you just get to keep going up the budget ladder when you can afford Julia Roberts people. But this one was always just meant to be like a Michaela movie. And so we're just,
so you had her
lucky to have her. Yeah, for sure. Like, it wasn't specifically like written with her, but she was always like in our tops. Like, we just adored her from, like, she's one of the people that pops up in everything. And I think this is her first lead in a film, and she's just so talented and such a lovely human as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. No, it's,
yeah, she was just like, such a pleasure to deal with, and her and Charlie really got along well too, and they were just so generous to each other. Like, it was ideal. I don't have any terrible things to say. I apologize. It's so boring.
That's the other part, that if that was not done well, if Charlie Hotchkiss wasn't Gage, then you could have been in real trouble. But
huge.
He really is incredible in the movie.
Yeah, we lucked out with him too, and it's crazy because like we had to offer it to them. Like, I don't know what people know here, but a lot of like people at this level still, like, they don't audition, and so you're just kind of gambling. You just have to be like, okay, I think they can do it, and then kind of roll the dice. And so thankfully, like, we just watched some of Charlie's YouTube videos, and like he obviously acted in a bunch of things, but we just watched his YouTube videos just to see his personality, and like so much of him was Gage. He was just feral. Like, he's just a wild man. He's just like all over the place, but like so charming and talented and weird, and we just, well, grateful for Charlie.
He certainly has the charm, doesn't he?
Yeah. He's got the charm and the abs.
And the abs.
Yeah.
So, I was trying to think, after I saw the film, of another husband and wife team that directed, and I can't think of anybody. That's quite original.
I wish. There's a couple, but not that many. Yeah, like the people that did Little Miss Sunshine,
Right.
Dayton and Ferris, and I'm sure there's other ones that I'm not thinking of, but might be original for the area.
So the two
So
of
that
you
counts, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're certainly original for Milton. There are no other husband and wife directors, as far as I know, in Milton.
Fair.
You met at the Canadian Film Centre. Can you tell us about how the two of you came to be?
Yeah, we met, we were both in the Screenwriters Lab, and if you don't know the Canadian Film Centre, they take like 5 people, 5 writers, 5 directors, 5 editors, 5 producers. And I read her bio and had a crush on her, and she did not feel the same when she read mine, but eventually we hung out enough and wore her down, and she was eventually charmed, and
So what
we
made
got
you,
married.
So you fell in love,
Yeah.
you got married, but what made you decide to work together?
Well, the working together kind of came first. Like at the Canadian Film Centre, we adapted a short story for a director, and it was the first time that I'd written with somebody and she'd written with somebody, and I enjoyed it so much more because she just made everything that I wrote way better, and I got to take credit for it. So it was kind of just like a win-win, yeah. And she was super attractive, so we got to like sit across from her at the same time. So it just worked, but we didn't plan on it working, and if she was here, she would say she always thought it was like a solo journey of writing, that like she got into it to not have a partner.
Right.
But she enjoys it enough.
Yes, because writing is usually the solo journey.
So lonely.
We can talk about it.
Yeah. So it's so nice to have somebody to bounce that off, and we share similar sensibilities, but have different strengths and weaknesses and things like that. So.
What is your strength when it comes to the two of you collaborating together?
Lindsay's is usually like big ideas. Like most of the things that we've done, we were talking about this morning. She was like, "What ideas have you come up with?" And I was like, there's probably, but I'm the one who like pushes and gets them over the finish line, and like pushes all of the doubt away. Essentially, I'm just like more persistent, and I believe in the idea, and I love to just like keep going and help bring it to life.
Because Dane probably won't say this himself, but as a team, you two seem to have all sorts of projects on the go. It's quite incredible reading your bios.
It looks better on paper than it is in real life. But yeah, we have a lot of, because we've been doing it for writing together for over 10 years now, and so, it's the point where we know we have to have many irons in the fire just to see which one, 'cause so many of them die, and very few of them get made, or if how long.
Sure.
Like this took 5 years from beginning of writing till production, and there's another one that we wrote that's 10 years now that's supposed to start shooting in March, but it's like, you never know how long these things
Is this
take.
Merv?
Yeah. So hopefully that shoots.
So this was 5 years to get going. Well, that's not uncommon these days.
No. It's a fast business.
So you decide to write together, and that's again not uncommon. In fact, I have a couple of friends who write nonfiction books together, which is impresses me no end. But then to decide to direct together, that's a real leap. How did that come about?
Well, neither of us wanted to bend or give it up. Essentially, it's just like, well, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it. But we wouldn't be able to do it if it didn't work well together. Like, it's one of those things, like, of course we fight about stupid things and have to go back and forth about who's right and wrong and all of that stuff. But generally, it works. It's like, she's like more aggressive on set, and she's like faster on her feet. Like she can work like in between takes. Like she has more of like an improv background. And so she can like keep the cameras rolling and just be like yelling at actors of what to do in a nice way. She's nice. She's approachable. She's lovely. Whereas I like to like cut and take a time to think. I'm a real thinker. So she's fast, I'm slow. But we just see things that each other don't, and hopefully complete each other.
So you come on the set,
Yeah.
the two of you, and do you already know what you're going to do, or are you discussing it? So you've done the homework before.
Yeah, that's the only way we could
there.
do it is with prep. It's
So
like,
you're not arguing in front of the crew about.
no, that's our big rule is don't fight in front of the kids. So we try to keep that for after when we wrap, and then we
And
can
do you
hear about.
usually see eye to eye about
Yeah.
what shot to take and?
Totally. Well, and we discussed the whole
Performance
thing, like in prep as well. It's like we're shot listing the whole thing, or like we would sit with our lovely cinematographer Jordan Kennington on this, and
Who did a fantastic job.
yeah, he's super talented. He's a real artist, and he would push for shots that we didn't have time for, and just like, yeah, he was great. But we would all sit around discussing like, you know, what we wanted to look like, the shots we were gonna do, and then we do the coverage that we want to get, and then of course you never have enough time for that, and then so you have to scrap it, and it goes down to one shot.
Again, you're shooting a scene, you're happy with the performance, and your wife isn't. How do you reconcile that in front of every other kids?
You just keep going. Like she'll just say, "I need another one," and then hopefully we get to keep going until we get it.
Well, whatever you do, it's worked out very well. So, before we just turn it over to questions, tell us about Merv. What's not the Merv Griffin story?
No, Merv's the name of it. It's a movie about it's a dog. What's the best way to pitch this? There's a dog in it. Essentially, it's a broken up couple who take their sick dog on a road trip to try to make them feel better. It started out as broken up couple take their dying dog on a road trip before he passes away, but you're not allowed to, people won't make movies if the dog dies. So now the dog is just depressed, and they have to cheer him up. And that's what's hopefully gonna start shooting in April. We're not directing it, but
Oh, aren't you? Oh.
no, they wouldn't let us.
Ah.
Yeah, but what are you gonna do?
Well, I'll have a talk with them.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So it's all in darkness out there, but hopefully somebody, Jasmine has oh, there you go. Yeah, we've got.
Oh, hi.
Yeah. So questions, anyone? Dane promises to answer anything that you might want to ask.
Anything.
Did Gage actually sing the song on the piano?
Yeah.
Did Gage actually sing the song on piano? Absolutely.
Did he play it?
He played the piano,
Oh, wow.
and he sang. And that was his own arrangement as well. It's like it took a long time. Like we knew that he could sing and was a musician, but we were in the middle of the shoot and he still hadn't played the song for us. And it was like there was some anxiety around it as well. And so we went to his hotel room and he played a version of it, and we're just sitting behind him, and he plays it, and we're like, yeah, it's okay, but we have some notes. And he's like, okay, wait, that version was like, it was a little like American Idol. Like he went like really big, like he was auditioning for him, because he's got such a great voice. And we were like, no, like it has to be the kid, he's not as good of a singer as you are. And he's like, okay, I have another one. And then he played that version that you just saw, and Lindsay and I are just like crying behind him. And we're like, that's the one. He's like, oh, I knew you guys would say that. But I think he's happy, but that's all him.
More questions, anyone?
We got over here.
Sorry. I noticed in a lot of some of the jokes you did a lot of hard cuts where like it would be like reverse, like what do you have, menopause, and then it just goes into like you have it. With a lot of those jokes, do you feel like you write them very naturally, or do you think like, do you have to really like, do you think of the joke first and then write to it, or does it come naturally when you're writing the scene?
Good question.
Great question. Tough question. I think it depends. I think it's sometimes a chicken and egg thing. It's like we found a bunch of those hard cuts in the edit. Like some of them were written in the script, yeah, like some of them were like the obvious. We'll spend a lot of time together. Then it hard cuts to, sorry, we didn't get to spend a lot of time together. Like that was in the script, but the hard cut, like for example, out of his song was not in there, and like it went on to the very end of the song, and it was just dragging. But because we'd set up the hard cut style, we just kind of continued with that. So it's some of them we find essentially in the script, and then some we find in the edit. Was with that. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Do you crack each other up when you're writing the script?
Oh yeah, we're just nonstop laughing all the time, just peeing our pants. But yeah,
You're funny.
totally. Yeah, we'll make ourselves laugh and cry too, right? It's like
Sure, of
when we
course.
hit those moments, we're just like, oh yeah, we gotta put that in, and then hope that we can pull it off. But yeah, absolutely.
I think we've got time for one more question before somebody starts to tell me time's up. Anybody else? Well, Dane, thank you so much for
Thank you.
being here this afternoon. I think it's a real crowd pleaser, and really appreciate your time. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, and thanks everybody for
Yeah,
coming.
thanks.
Take care.